Let's begin. All right. I need to set it up. All right, we need to set this up. I'm gonna hit go live. Should go to management. Yep. All right. Turn that on. We'll go ahead and then share Skeletower with the Discord. Oh wait, I'm not sure if I actually have. I think Discord's on my main laptop screen, so I'm gonna go ahead and hide it real quick. Away, and I can do this. I was right. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and share this with the cool people on Discord. Stream notifications at Notification Squad. Skell is your tower. All right, there we go. All right, I can set this back to normal now. Programming. There we go. So yeah, welcome everyone back to Skeletower. We're gonna be doing stuff. First of all, we need to make the controllers work because they don't work very well right now because I was trying to make it work with gravity and it doesn't. It wasn't working very well. Let's just leave it at that. So yeah, let's begin. Open up C# project. Unskells your bones. Of course. I don't think I saved my Unity scene when I closed it. I saved this at least, so that's good. All right. So here we go. What do we need to do? First of all, in fixed update, yeah, this is where we need to do it. Well, let's start off by fixing the input controller. Because what I think I need to do is I was getting confused and I had a key code for jump, action, etc. What I need to do instead is I need to have key code for right controller and right keyboard and just have those as two separate inputs. So jump and action should both be null most of the time. They'll only activate when it's needed. So yeah, let's start off with this. We can start off by saying, okay, right player 1, left player 1, up player 1, down player 1. Truly, like, I mean, I don't know. I feel like at a fundamental level, should there be two input controllers, or should there be one input controller? And if I make two input controllers, then I have to make a constructor. That way you can actually set the inputs correctly based on which thing you're playing as, and then you have to store the information somewhere else. Hmm. All right. Boss music starts playing. Yeah, of course. I think for now this will work. I mean, because I only have so few buttons, I don't think it really matters. Actually, it's a good thing. I can have an input keys for that and that. Actually, yeah, this is fine. I just have to make two new input keys. So yeah, I have player 1 inputs, player 2 inputs, and then I can just make private static, um, input keys. Also, I'm gonna go ahead and remove these because I'm only using adaptive controllers for this now. I don't think it's smart to use an adaptive version and not have an adaptive version. Like where I don't think it's smart to have, okay, hold right to go up a slope or to go up a wall when you're on the right wall, and then have it, because then it's like, well, when you're on the ceiling, now you're pressing right to go left from your perspective. Sure, from the character's perspective, like he's flipped upside down, so it matters. It makes sense. But from a fundamental perspective, like when you press left, you want to go left. So I think having the adaptive controller makes the most sense. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to remove that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to say private static input keys. And this is going to be player one controller inputs. Or inputs, I'll just say inputs controller. And now we just have private static input keys player 2 input controllers. Now for right now, because like I could set up the controller, but I'm actually going to wait to do this. I really don't care about it. However, what this will allow me to do is in my update function, I can set the current direction vector to what I need it to be. So, for instance, if I'm holding right on my keyboard and left on my controller, this will set it to 0. So then my player controller script will actually be able to, when it asks for, hey, what direction am I holding? It'll be able to say, oh yeah, you're not holding anything, despite the fact that you're holding opposite directions. The music is practically silent? Yes, because I keep on getting copyright claims, and I'm sick of it. I'll turn it up a little bit, but I really am getting sick of these copyright claims. I've gotten probably like 3 in the last 4 streams that I've done. That's not true. I got 2 in like, because I got a copyright claim in my episode of the Games Must Go On. I got a copyright claim on the last Skeletower stream because I had Celeste music. So that's why I'm being so careful with the music this time. I'm kind of annoyed. But yeah, so right now I'm not really going to do much with the player controllers. However, I am going to use it in the future. So what I'll be able to do now is for the jump button, if that is playing, that means I should probably calculate jumping. No, I can do that there. Besides, I have is using keyboard. Honestly, yeah, I can kind of get rid of this. I can get rid of these 2 variables. Do I use them anywhere? Do I need to fix my code? Also, I'm going to delete this code. Because I'm not going to be using gravity. I'm specifically going to be getting your direction vector. And... Oh, wait. Crap. Jumping's going to have to be calculated that way. Which is kind of annoying. Which means I would have to have a description of your current gravity. No, I don't. I just have to include a jump. I just have to do this. I know what I can do. It's really simple. I just include in my vectors, I have a jump vector and a yeah, I could just use this current jump val, current action val, and now what this will be able to tell is um well in that case I could still then my up input gets read as an up input, which I don't want for controller. That is kind of a problem. Also, I'm not sure how it reads that value. You know what? For now, I'll just focus on keyboard inputs, though. So, you know what? It's fine. Anyway, let's move on to this. So here I have this whole set ground variable, switch player state, case is normal. So yeah, if I'm in my normal state, this is correct. If ground is player, then do this. I need to fix jumping. This jumping should be okay because this is bouncing off the player. So yeah, if ground type is player, that means you're on top of the player. It sets your velocity to the opposite. The Wait a second. Your velocity is multiplied. Oh, yeah. So this just stops your velocity. So if you're falling down, this makes it so you're no longer falling. This cancels out your downward velocity, your relative downward velocity. And then I just do I do an add force in the opposite direction of gravity. Yeah, but that's fine. Here, however, when I do jumping, um, wait, what is this? Oh, this is the dead state. I'm gonna put in a comment here so I remember that. Um, I'm not gonna call it suicide. What should I call it? Don't make a normal state. Make a normal country. Sure. Um, but yeah, this is where you actually die. Player die. Or player self-destruct. Yeah. This looks like a very complicated thing. I'm gonna make an is jumping function. So private void is jump vector. I guess I should actually keep the is keyboard. It doesn't really help. Whatever. I'll wait to do controller stuff. Is currently jumping, and what I pass in is the input controller. Not really. I don't need to pass in the input controller because I have a reference to that. Um, do I need to pass in anything? And it doesn't return void. What am I saying? It returns a bool. And it shouldn't be is currently jumping. It should be um, inputting jump. Jump input detected. Like it's difficult for me to do this because I don't know. Because when I'm using a controller, when I'm using a keyboard, I want to be able to say that, okay, when you press the up button, that makes you jump. However, when you're on a controller and you have the stick that you're moving back and forth, pressing up should not make you jump. However, pressing the jump button should make you jump. However, on keyboard, when you change gravity, so now you're on the ceiling, or you're on a wall, let's say the right wall, now pressing left should make you jump. However, on the controller, pressing left should not make you jump. However, before, you can't just say, okay, then just deactivate the left button because you need to hold left to go left most of the time. So switching it out with jumping doesn't really help. So I can't just have the input vector. Whatever, I am going to include this then. Public is keyboard. Bool is keyboard. Equals true for now. We'll deal with that later. So right now we'll just assume that you're playing on keyboard. And if keyboard is ever false, then I'll be able to change it so it only detects that. Or you'll be able to, I'll be able to detect it in the other code, which will be fine. Because here now if it says, oh, if is keyboard is false, now it'll just be able to look towards the jump button vector, the jump value. So that should be fine. If is player 1, I want to do this with the code looking correct. If input controller do I have a reference to it? I should. Ground normal player. There's no way I don't have. Oh, wait. Oh, I'm only looking at static references. Which, by the way, this should be a public static bool. All right. So now what I can say is, if jump input detected, so if it is a keyboard, then what do I need to say? Now I can say, if player 1 controller, that is not correct. If input, I guess is player 1 first of all. Oh, that's what I can do. Because this is just a struct, right? Yeah, input vals. Put vals. Input controller. Dot input vals. Character. Input equals is player 1. If you are playing as player 1, then it's going to be input controller dot player 1 vectors. And yeah, that's input vals. And if you're not playing as player 1, then you're going to get player 2 input vals. There we go. That's cleaner code. So now what I can do is I can just say character input is up. Honestly, I can move this to a higher layer. Control X. We can put this right here because everything's going to use these input vals. Uncleans your code. No, I reclean it. All right, so now we have our input, right? So if this input is on a keyboard, then what we're going to be looking for is if my input vals in the negative gravity direction is true. Okay. So how do I do this? I could multiply it by the absolute value of gravity. Oh, speaking of which, I guess I should make another script. We're going to be doing something called vector math. So I'm actually going to make a general script called vector math. Called vector math. And this is actually going to be a static script. Public or a static class. It's not going to need mono behavior. It's not going to need update or start. Can I use vector 2s without mono behavior? No. I can. All right. Oh, it's getting mad because I'm declaring that. So yeah, let's go ahead and guess I should make another script. Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of The Games Must Go On. All right, but yeah, so here we go. So with vector math, the first method we're going to make is public static void no. It returns a vector2, and we're going to call this at ABS or absolute value. Do I capitalize my? How am I doing my things? I am using camel case. That's good. ABS, so absolute value vector. Wait, what? Is it getting mad because I'm not returning anything? Yeah. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say x equals no. We're going to have a float x equals we're going to, oh wait, we do need to actually pass in a value. So this is going to be vector2 original vector. There we go. So this is going to be original vector dot x. And we're actually going to be using math dot absolute value for this. Math f dot abs. Boom. Boom. And we're basically into the parts of it. So float y equals mathf dot abs original vector dot y. And then we're just going to say return we're going to return new vector2, and in that vector2 we're going to have x comma y. Bam. There we go. So that's the first piece of vector math that we have. So now if we put in our gravity, we'll always be able to multiply it by 1. So now, back in our player controller, we can just say, if we're on a keyboard, we're going to multiply character input by gravity. Character input times equals gravity, or to be specific, vector math dot absolute vector, gosh dang it, absolute vector, and then we're going to pass in gravity direction. It doesn't like that. Why doesn't it like it? Wait, what? Input values should just be... Oh, I see. Should you be repeatedly bouncing? Alright, here's a question. If I press up and I hold up, should I be repeatedly bouncing? Like when I hit the ground over and over again, should I bounce over and over? I don't think so. I think you should have to input the jump button. There we go. And I can say... So now if I'm holding up while on the ground, so it's basically going to multiply 0, 1 by 0, 1. So I'll end up with 0, 1. Crazy, I know. I should at least. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Vector math. Yes. But if I'm holding 1, 0, it's going to give me 0, 0. Because the way vector math works, man, it has been a little bit of time since I did linear algebra. Yeah, the way vector math works is you have so 0, 1 for my vector 2 for, let's say I'm holding up. And I'm going to multiply that by 0, 1. That shouldn't work. Because technically vector math is like you multiply the first element by the first element, you multiply the second element by the second element, and there's no second element here. Yeah, I think I need to expand it a little bit. We can do that pretty easily. So yeah, I think this is just going to be 0, 0, 0, 0. So now it'll go ahead and say... Actually, I think this is still wrong. I think this should be... I think this is also 0. That is not the right brush. If this is also 0 and this is 1, I think. Because this will give you 0 times 0, 0 times 0, or 1 times 0, 1 time, or 0 times 0, and then 1 times 1. 1 times 1 is the only 1 value, and that's the last value, so it's going to be 0 plus 1, which will give you the vector 0, 1. But I don't think you can multiply vectors like this. I feel like I'm still wrong because I'm multiplying the vectors. How does it do that? If you multiply a vector 2 by a vector 2, that shouldn't be possible. Because I don't think the Unity thinks of it like this. I think it thinks of it as a vector, like a, this, 2 values. I'm not sure. Typically, you multiply it by a value. So if you have 3 times 1, 0, it's going to be 3, 0. Because that's a scalar. Let me see something. So vector math Unity. All right, yep, it says multiplying. It's not telling me. All right, it describes scalar multiplier, but what about vector multiplication? Okay. So yeah, they're saying you get an error message. Okay. Me when my base is buoyed, yes. All right, so in this case, we're actually going to have to enter in another variable. That being, or we're going to have to add in another thing. That being convolution, it said. Public, static, stick. Static, vector2, convolute vector. Oh, I'm just going to call it internal multiplication. Who knows? That might actually... Oh, wait, did I... I didn't change back to the scene. Ah, ha, ha. Almost was stupid. I'm going to move this up a little bit. There we go. So yeah, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have internal multiplication. That's not how you spell multiplication. What am I, stupid? I think I'm stupid. I probably am stupid. Yes, I am. Very much so. Alright, there we go. Internal multiplication. And what I'm going to need are two vector 2's. Vector 2, A, and vector 2, B. B. And now what I'm going to need is... Also, this is way behind. This... Yeah, my Unity preview, or my YouTube preview is way behind. I don't know why. So now what I can do is I can say, first of all, I should probably describe what each of these do in their actual method names. So absolute vector takes the absolute value of each component of a vector 2. And returns the, I'll just say, yeah, that. And now, for purpose of internal multiplication, is multiply the component of each two vectors. All right, there we go. Internal multiplication. So we're going to say float x equals a dot x times b dot x. Yeah, I know, but I just decided to move it forward. And I decided to switch back to Streamlabs anyway, or switch my computer screen back to Streamlabs. Float y equals a dot y time b dot y, and then I'm going to return new vector 2 x comma y. There we go. So now we have internal multiplication. So now what we can just say is current direction vector. Instead of saying times equals vector math, I can say equals internal multiplication vector math dot internal multiplication of gravity and current direction. as you can see, it's much simpler. Sure, why not? I'll go with that. So what all of this is going to do is now it will detect, okay, your input is upwards. Good job. Congratulations. Amazing. So your input is upwards. Or it'll find your input direction in relation to gravity. So if you're holding right and up, it will go ahead. Also, I'm recording this. Damn it. That's just wasted storage. I'm not going to store this on my computer. No reason to. I'm not making this into a video. I'll do other devlog stuff. But yeah. So yeah, if I'm holding right and up, and I'm on the ground, what it'll be able to say is, okay, you are holding the up button. So now what I need to do is I need to go ahead and do the same thing basically for the um, other thing. I need to do that for your pass direction or your delta direction. This is just to ensure that, oh, you actually pressed the button instead of you were holding the button. Structs are passed by value, so that's something else that I should keep in mind. So changing the current direction vector here, because I actually have this separate input value struct, this is its own separate struct. It's essentially a copy. I should be at least. Hold on, let me check this. If Unity structs using I don't know. You know what? I think I'm right. I'm 90% sure that I'm right. That character input is quite literally going to be character input. Anyway, character input dot delta direction equals basically the same thing here, except it's going to be between the delta direction vector. And now we'll say current direction vector, and we have the delta direction vector. So if my delta direction vector, so if my current direction vector is, I mean, it would be in the same direction for sure. Okay. So what I could say is a couple of things. First of all, I can actually move this ahead. All right. So what I can say here, actually, yeah, right here. Under the delta direction vector, because I'm basically asking if you press the button, if the delta is not, if the delta is 0, I can immediately, or, yeah, if the direction is 0, so if delta equals 0, this will inherently fix my problem. Guaranteed. Yeah. Because, essentially, obviously, like, let's say I'm holding up. If I'm holding up, my delta is going to be 0, and my current direction vector is going to be 1, or 0, 1. But I'm just going to say 1 for now. So my current direction is 1. So what I can say is, okay, since my delta is 0, it doesn't matter. And if my delta is in the wrong direction, well, that means I'm not holding up, am I? Now I have to worry about dead zones, though. Because what if you go ahead and you decrease your... Like, what if you're letting go of the button and you release it halfway? Obviously, this is more of a problem for controllers than keyboards because analog and most keyboards are, you know, digital. But it is still something to think about and to consider. Make current direction 1.654. What? Why? If I could just say this, if delta direction, if character input dot delta direction is equal to so if my direction vector in the y direction because random number funny, that is true, it is funny. But yeah, if my direction is y and so let's say I am pressing up, that means I'm going to have 0, 1 as my vector. I guess I can say magnitude. Unfortunately, yeah, whatever, I'll just say... Yeah, I'll just say is greater than 0.05 or something. Or I should say is less than or equal to 0.5. Because now, essentially what'll... Unfortunately, if you are slightly releasing your controller, this will trigger it, but you're using a keyboard, so this shouldn't matter. So yeah, if you have a magnitude of less than 0.5, then immediately return false. There we go. Now what we can say is, now we can care about this. And we have to say, is this direction the opposite of a direction of gravity? And I guess that's where we should figure out angles. Oh boy, here we go. Vector math time, part like 17. We're going to make public, static, float, find angle between vector A and vector B. Here we go. finds how many radians from counterclockwise B is from A. Or I should say starting, just to make it more clear, starting from A, how many radians counterclockwise is B? There we go. That's a good description of it. Okay. So now we're going to have to do some vector math in terms of rotation. So how do I find the angle between two vectors? Well, we have trigonometry for that, right? So what we can do is we can say something like, okay, cosine B, that doesn't really work though, or cosine inverse. Yeah, so it should be cosine inverse from B. However, that doesn't always work because what if you have, does this even have cosine inverse? Well, I can find cosine inverse actually myself. So the cosine inverse of that is 2 pi 2. It's hard for me to figure this out because I'm defining trigonometry. So this is a little bit weird. All right, but we can say that, is there a cosine at? So let's see, cosine inverse. Inverse cosine? There is no inverse cosine. Nice. Um, Could technically do it, BOGO, where it just goes ahead and says, okay, is this angle correct? Is cosine of this of angle A angle B, and cosine of A and sine of angle A? That doesn't really work though. Okay. Let's see if anyone smarter than me has done this. Let's see if AI can do it. Let's try that. I want to see, can AI write this? In C#, write a method that takes in two vector 2's and returns the angle between them in radians. Let's see. Can it do it? Oh, yeah. Wait, a cosine? That's a real thing? Math f dot a cosine. Well, I'll be damned. Yeah, that makes sense. Arc cosine. Okay. Did not realize that was a part of it. I'm not going to copy and paste the AI stuff. Now that I know that you can actually use arc cosine, that helps a lot. Because now I can just treat it as, wait, what does arc cosine take in? Oh. The arc cosine, the angle in radians. Wait, what is f supposed to be then? Doesn't really matter. But yeah, I can also use dot products and stuff. So, first of all, because there's no normalized function, it looks like. First of all, I want to check this. Mathf dot normalize. No normalize, right? You're not screwing with me, all right? And I can not say vector2 dot normalize. Nope. What does lerp mean? Okay. To trig, I know it's so sad. Trigonometry. Okay. So there's no normalized function, which means I get to go ahead and actually make a normalized function. So that's great. Oh boy, here we go. Public, let's say, normalize the a vector to have a length of 1. Trigonometry ruins games. Wait, can't I just take the magnitude of it and then multiply it by, or divide it by that magnitude? So if a vector has a magnitude of 2, just divide the vector by its magnitude. Yeah, it's that simple. What am I thinking? Okay, this is really easy then. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to have public, static, vector2, normalize, vector, vector 2. Also, I'm going to go ahead and refactor this. I don't like it being called A and B. First vector. Rename. Second vector. There we go. There we go. And then we can have second vector as here as well. Name them C and D instead? No, that's stupid. Alright, so now what we can do is we're just going to return original vector divided by original vector or vector2.magnitude. Can I have magnitude, please? You're not going to give me magnitude, are you? What do you mean you don't have magnitude? There's no frickin' way you don't have magnitude. I've used magnitude before. Where did magnitude go? I know. Here it is. Magnitude. Vector2.magnitude. Get. What the hell? Is that like a special part of a math class? No, it's just using Unity Engine. Which this also is using Unity Engine. That's some bullshit. It does have direction and magnitude. That is correct. Okie dokie then. Public static vector2 no float magnitude of vector2 original vector. All right. Find the length of the vector. Period. All right, so now what we can do, this is also pretty easy. We can just say, return original mathf. I swear, if it says that you can't use square roots now, or squared, I'm going to be really mad. Square root. There's no frickin'... Oh, wait, no, I need to put this here. Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Square root, and I can just say original vector dot x times... I'm not going to use math.pow. It's not worth it here. Nah, it is. mathf.pow, original vector.x, comma 2. Then I can go ahead and say plus the same thing basically, but for y. All right, there we go. Bam. So now I can use magnitude of vector. There we go. So now, to find the angle of between, I'm going to start off by saying first vector equals normalized vector, first vector, and second vector equals normalized vector, second vector. Cool. Now we have two normalized vectors, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to um, So I need to start off by saying, okay, take this vector and then go ahead and do that. I need to make I need to say, well, I can take arc cosine of it, and that'll give me how. The problem is that only gives me a range from 0 to 2 to pi over 2. After that, it'll give me wait, a cosine only takes in a float. Or I can use dot product, I mean. If I use dot product, that'll actually give me a value that's useful, because then I can feed that into arc cosine. However, that won't work for inverses, like what happens when you have a value of pi or 3 pi over 2. In that case, the dot product's 0, and as such, when you plug it in, it's just going to say, well, the dot product, the arc cosine that'll give you 0 is pi over 2. It doesn't know about 3 pi over 2, so I'll need a way to judge that. I need a way to test angle between. Unfortunately, this still has an error. I can't really do anything until this is fixed, so I'll just trust it for now. But yeah, we can start off by saying dot product. So float. Yeah, dot product float. Float dot product equals mathf dot product dot product or vector2 dot product. Please tell me it has it. Okay, good. So yeah, here we can say vector, first vector and second vector. So this will basically say how much they are on top of each other. Me when the happy heart face. Personally, I prefer to be how do I put it like this. Luigi Springboard, he is here. All right, so what the dot product should tell me is that should give me a cosineable value, kind of. Because let's think about this. Let's say I have, obviously I'm thinking about this from the unit circle perspective, and I know my camera's flipped, but whatever. So I have this angle. This is pi over 4 radians difference. So the way I should be able to do this, I should be able to tell is that taking the dot product of this onto this will give me not 2 pi over 2. That's wrong. Or 2 squared over 2. Wait, no, it's root 2 over 2. Yeah. So that'll give me root 2 over 2. And the arc cosine value of root 2 over 2 should be pi over 4. Of course I need to, so let's say that. Let's start off by saying float val answer, I'll just call it equals dot product or mathf dot arc cosine of dot product. So now what it should do is this should say, okay, so we take the dot product, that gives me root 2 over 2, and then it'll go ahead and take the arc cosine of that, which will be pi over 4. If I have something a little bit larger, like let's say a value of pi over 3, now it'll go ahead and I'll take the dot product, which will be 1/2, and by doing that, it'll be able to say, okay, 1/2 dot product of that, or arc cosine of 1/2 is, you know, that's pi over 3. So that'll work. Even if I have something larger than this, like an obtuse angle, that's something like, let's say 2 pi over 3. This should also work because, that'll give you a dot product value and a negatives, which will be something like negative, negative 1/2 for 2 pi over 3. So great, we have, that'll give me a negative value when I dot product, because what dot product does is it projects it onto it. So if this goes down to here and it's behind the value, or it goes down to here and it's behind, so that's a negative value. That's going to give me negative 1/2, and arc cosine of negative 1/2 is correct. However, so that'll give me 2 pi 3. However, the problem comes from when it's larger. So let's say I have negative 3 pi, or yeah, negative 3 pi over 2. This will give me a dot product of 0, and the dot product of 0 is pi over 2. So I need to have a way of telling if it's greater, if the angle is greater than pi. And how do I do that? That's the question, right? If it's greater than pi, I should be able to just, I'm thinking I should be able to just add pi to it. No. That wouldn't work. If I add pi to it, like if I had, let's say, this angle, which is 5 pi over 4, in that scenario, it'll give me the dot product of negative square root 2 over 2, which will then in turn give me the angle of 3 pi over 4, which isn't right. And adding pi to that would give me the inverse angle, which is this. Or, 3 pi over 2. Or 3 pi over 4, sorry. Or no. If I added pi to it, it would give me this, which is either negative pi over 4, or it's also negative, or not negative pi over 4, it's 7 pi over 4. Neither of those are correct. So instead, what I need to do is I need to, I guess I'd subtract from 0 in that case. Doesn't really make sense to. So yeah, what I need to do is I need to go ahead and do that. Excuse me. I'm thinking you do something like 1 minus. Hmm. First of all, how do you tell if the angle is greater than pi? What if I took the parallel or the perpendicular value? If I took the perpendicular value, in that case, I would be able to tell. Because what I could do is I could rotate this angle by 90 degrees, which I'm pretty sure is what vector 2 dot perpendicular does. Let me just double check. Vector 2 dot perpendicular. Yeah, 90 degrees in a counterclockwise um, direction. That's incredibly useful because what I could do is I could take, say, okay, take my angle, rotate it by 90 degrees, and now take the dot product of that. And now, if my dot product is positive, I know that I'm in this upper hemisphere where the math actually works. But if I'm below, then I'm incorrect. Then I know I have an angle that's greater than pi. In which case, what can I do? Um, hmm. Let's start off by getting this information. No. I need to figure out how I can actually get the value then. Hmm. It's not just add 90, that doesn't work. Like, is it pi minus a negative version of it? I think so. So what we would do is we would take the dot product, and then we would go ahead, make it negative. So instead of pointing here, it's now pointing here, and then add pi to whatever the value here is. So let's say I had that 5 pi over 4. In that case, I would have a dot product of negative 2, or yeah, negative square root 2 over 2. And then what I could do is I could actually multiply that by negative 1. So now I have root 2 over 2. And then I can go ahead take the arc cosine of that, which will be pi over 4, and then multiply that, or then add pi to the answer, which will then give me 5 pi over 4. And this should work for all scenarios because let's say I have negative 3, or let's say I have 3 pi over 2. In this case, I now can say, okay, 3 pi over 2, well, the dot product of that is 0. 0, negative of 0 is 0. And then I just say, okay, our cosine of 0 should be 1, or pi over 2. Um, so our cosine is pi over 2. And then I just go ahead and add pi to it. Bam, got it. Let's say just one more test. Let's do a little bit trickier one. Let's say we have over 3, we have not 7 pi over 3. I'm thinking of something in the fourth quadrant. We would be something like 3 pi over 3 is at 4 pi, so 5 pi over 3. Let's say we have 5 pi over 3. Or let's say, no, I want a little trickier one. 11 pi over 6. This will give us the value of um, square root 3 over 2. Yes, for the dot product. We make this negative. The arc cosine of square root 3 over 2 is going to be, that's going to be 11 pi, no, that's going to be 5 pi over 6. Add pi to it, and you got 11 pi over 6. Easy. All right. So all we have to do is we have to figure out if it's in the first quadrant or not, or if it's in the first two quadrants or not. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a boolean. Bool is in top half equals dot product of the perpendicular value if the dot product is positive. So if foobar, whoops, I hit caps lock. If foobar is greater than 0, if it's equal to 0, yeah, that means you have 1 or -1, and it doesn't matter. Greater than or equal to 0, I'll just say that for fun. If you are, then it is true. Oh wait, it's a Boolean, it doesn't actually matter. So it'll be positive if you are less than pi away. This will be true. So yeah, this is actually correct. So what we can do is say if the perpendicular value or the dot product of the perpendicular value of the first vector and the second vector. So we can say vector 2 dot dot. No, that's not right. Vector 2 dot dot capital D of the perpendicular value of vector 1, vector 2 dot perpendicular of vector 1 first vector, comma, second vector. My skeleton is hungry. Good, feed it. It craves sustenance. So great. Is in top half equals this. If, actually I can just do a ternary here. So I can just say dot product times equals is top half is in top half. If this is true, then we're going to keep it the same way. If not, we're going to multiply by -1. And then what we can say is answer in radians. Okay, good. So now what we can say is answer plus equals is in top half. If you are in the top half, don't add anything. It's fine. So 0. Else, we're going to add pi. Dot pi. Bam. Woo! What food does it want? That's a great question. I'm gonna probably say cheese and lots of it for the calcium. Oh, Luigi Springboard for sure. It's obvious. I mean, come on. Who do you think I am? Some idiot? All right, and then return answer. I am smart now. Haha. They would want milk. I cannot wait to make the milk power up in this game. It's gonna be hilarious. I mean, come on. I'm gonna make it so where you literally, the skeleton just grabs the thing of milk, squeezes it like a can of spinach, flies into the air, lands in his mouth like Popeye. He bulks up, and then, but as he's bulking up, you literally see the milk fall out of his skeleton because he's a skeleton. He doesn't have a digestive system, but he still bulks up because it's funny. I can't wait to do that. Anyway, what were we doing? Oh yeah, we were doing vector math. So now we have angle between. This is a very funny method. I want to test it before I actually do this. So yeah, we can say if is if foobar is there a compare method? No. Wait, compare is a class. Dang it. There's not just a range thing. Dang it. Get milk from the rain? Sure. Alright, I want to test something. I just want to see, is there a default Unity method to see if a float is within a certain range of another? Okay, mathf.approximately. Ah, I clicked on the wrong thing. So yeah, if mathf.approximately wait, there's not. Okay, there might be a third argument. Foo, foo, foo. So approximately, if vector math dot angle between character input dot current direction and mathf.pi. Oh, angle between current direction and gravity. Mathf.pi. Okay, so it did lie to me, but approximately should work good enough. Yeah, if so yeah, this is basically saying if my current direction that I'm holding is away from the gravity, or is in the opposite direction of gravity, go ahead and do a jump. False. Cool. Now let's go ahead and actually put this up here. So yeah, here we have if ground type Holy crap, this is a very long method. There we go. So let's see if jumping works. Let me switch back to Streamlabs. There we go. Hey, jumping works. Cool. Also, I want to check something. Gravity direction, upslope speed, downslope, air, move speed, ground. Okay, so yeah, those still exist. Cool! So now the cool thing is I have vector math stuff that I can use in my other methods too. This was all a ploy for stuff that I'm going to implement in the future. But for now, I do need to do one more thing. That being, I need to have an angle method, a angle vector method. So that's going to be here. Angle a vector So yeah, now what I can do. So one big problem that I had is that on slopes, when you hold right, I don't want to hold right. I want to hold parallel to the direction of the slope. So how do you do that? Now what I was thinking is quite simple. Well, you have your direction up, your normal direction, and you have the direction of gravity. So if you're on a slope, if you're on flat ground, they're opposite of each other. But if one's angled, your slope is angled, now they are changed. So now, ground is still down, your angle of the slope is like this though. So what you can do is you can use the inverse of gravity, and now you have an angle between these. This angle of incidence can then be measured. And then what you do is you just take your direction that you're going, which is horizontal, and you angle it by that angle. And bam, you're going parallel. So I'm going to do that. And that's also why I made this angle between method. It's going to be really useful for this. It's going to be so cool. All right, but first we need to do a angle a vector, which will actually angle it. So we're going to say public static vector2, and we're going to call this angle vector. And we're going to say it takes in a vector2 original vector, and we're going to say vector2, or no, we're going to say float angle boom. And now all we need to do is, this is actually where matrix math is important, because I actually do know this formula, mostly. I actually don't remember the exact numbers. Rotation matrix, 2D rotation matrix. I do know how it works, which is the important part. It is, here it is. Okay, why is it using 3D? I literally type in 2D rotation matrix, and all these things are 3D. Idiots. All right, whatever. It's cosine, negative sine, sine, cosine. Okay. So yeah, what we can do is we can essentially say vector 2. I'm just gonna call it new vector. Actually, no. I can just return new vector 2. Actually, I'm going to make a cosine and sine variable. So float cosine equals original vector, or no, it's just going to be mathf dot cosine of angle. Boom. And I'm going to do the same for sine. Float sine equals mathf dot sine angle. But it's just so it's my result's a little less complicated. Because now all I have to do is I just have to do some matrix math. So what I can say is return, or I'm actually going to make two floats again. I'm going to say float x equals, so yeah, x is just going to be cosine theta times x. So I'm going to say cosine times, or actually I should put this in parentheses, cosine times x, which is going to be original vector, dot x, plus negative sine times original vector dot y. And now I do similar thing for y. Float y equals sine times original vector dot x. Let me actually pull up. I have the formula up right now. I'm gonna go back. Waluigi goes, "Why it's code?" Or "Waha hate this code." No, it's why it is code. All right, so yeah, plus. No, I do the plus outside. Plus cosine times original vector dot x. No, dot y. Whoops. That would have been bad. But yeah, just like that, we can say return new vector 2, and then we can just say vector 2 is x comma y. That one was a lot simpler than actually finding the angle between two variables. Cool. So yeah, just like that, we can go back to player controller. And yeah, let's go ahead and start doing this stuff. I should probably do a def input as well. Let's do that first, because that'll be really simple. Bool self-destruct detected. I'm quite literally going to copy and paste this. And here, I'm going to do the same thing. And if state equals normal, and self-destruct detected. There we go. If input controller is keyboard, delta direction vector. So yeah, vector math dot internal. So yeah, this is actually still necessary. I multiply, so I still need to make sure that I am pressing the button. But that takes the magnitude of it. No, that's still fine. That's just to make sure I'm not holding it, but it doesn't really matter. But here, character input current direction, vector math dot internal multiplication, current direction. Yeah, so that gives me my direction. Vector, angle between current direction, gravity. So yeah, if you press a direction towards gravity, then it should go ahead and math pi. This should be 0. Return true. Bam. Yeah. I mean, that's it. That's all I have to do. And now I have def controller. And if I press down, it should still work. I think it worked, but it was just too fast. Maybe. Oh, wait. I turned off the sphere, the heart. Yeah. Let me turn this back on so you can see. Yep, it works. But what's cool is when I rotate it, it should also work, but I'm not going to test that right now. I'll test it once I actually fix the movement script. All right, so yeah, let's make movement now. Thankfully, because of all that work that I just did with the vector math, this is a lot easier than it would have been. So what I did was actually smart, most likely. Let's just go ahead and comment this out for now. Bool direction match slope, direction going, vector 2.0, base speed 0, switch ground type. What I did was actually smart, most likely. Yes, foreshadowing. Not really. Like I said on the Discord, I actually posted out the entire list of how it'll work. So this should actually be good. All right. So now what we can do is we're going to start off by saying, can I close this, please? Is there a way for me to close the comment? No? Okay. So let's do this. I need to say, well, the first thing I need to do is I need to get my horizontal direction. So remove the y component, essentially, which is a perpendicular version of gravity. So what I can say is, well, first thing I'm actually going to do is I'm going to get my character's current direction, similar to what I did here. So what I'm going to say is character input so yeah, right here. Input controller, bam, character input is this. So now we have our input. Now what I can say is character input, current direction vector equals internal multiplication So vector math dot internal dot remember this method? Vector2 dot the vector math dot internal multiplication. And we're going to be internally multiplying this by the absolute value of the value perpendicular to gravity and my current direction. So current, not current, ground type, character input dot current direction vector times no, not times, but comma vector math dot absolute value of gravity. But not that, the perpendicular version. So vector2 dot perpendicular oh gosh, the method. This is a very long thing, but essentially what it should do is it should give us our horizontal vector. And now that we have this, now what we can do is we can rotate it. All right, so first of all, we need the angle to rotate between. So we're going to say float angle of normal equals, and I'm pretty sure I actually do have the vector, the normal vector of ground. Yeah, because when I have ground detection, I should have a variable up here. Internal variable, yeah, because I have private vector to ground normal. Great. So what I can do is I can, wait, was that negative? Hold on, I think I'm stupid. Yes, I'm stupid. Okay, good. All right, so what I can do is I can take that normal and the inverse of gravity. So, okay, what am I doing between them? I'm trying to find the angle between them, starting with gravity, because my gravity is always going to be straight up. And if I'm rotating, and if my ground normal is this way, I want to then rotate my parallel vector to be slightly more clockwise. So I should use my inverse gravity as a base. So vector math dot angle between. We're going to be using negative gravity direction, and we're going to be using the absolute value, or we're going to be using the ground direction. There we go. And now what we do is we just say character input dot cur direction equals vector math dot angle vector, and we're going to be angling it by cur direction vector, so character dot input equals or wait, what am I saying? Cur direction vector, and we're going to be putting in the float angle of normal. Boom. Got it. Cool. Now we have the direction we're going. However, now we also need to know if we're going to be adding speed because we're going up a hill, and going up a hill is weird, or if we're going down a hill, we need to remove speed so we don't go absolutely flying. One thing I kind of want to do, I think I actually did a little bit too much here. I think I actually want to just have a vector 2 here. Because, yeah, we don't really need the full we don't need the whole controller. Because I don't really care what your direction is, your delta is, or anything. Yeah, I can actually just remove a lot of this. I'm going to make the code a little bit cleaner. So, yeah, what I'm going to do is change this from an input vals to a vector 2. And we're going to change character input. We're going to rename. Where's rename? Here it is. And I just want to make sure, yeah, it's not affecting the stuff down there, which is good. And we're going to change it to cur direction. There we go. And is player, we're going to get player1 vectors dot cur direction vector. All right, so now we're going to say cur direction vector. Just change that to cur direction equals. Oh. Whoops. There we go. There we go. Bam. There we go. So now the code's just a little bit cleaner. Unfortunately, what happens when you don't have any ground? Let me make sure I did this correctly. So set ground variables. Ground normal equals 0. Okay. It doesn't really matter. So this is just going to give a value of 0. But this won't be factored into calculations. I should probably separate it anyway, because some of these variables won't be used. This stuff is only going to be used there. We're going to say switch current ground type. Okay, here I did use cur as 2 R's. Let's switch that to 1 R. I cannot rename this element. Got it, got it. All right. I think there's just too many errors going on, so let's fix that. Please let me rename now. Rename? Okay. Yeah, we're just going to remove one of those R's. So yeah, current ground type. We're just going to say case ground type air dot air. Here we're going to go ahead do this. It's just going to be, yeah, base speed time equals, yeah. Yeah, base speed. Oh, I guess I don't have a base speed variable. So let's do that. Float base speed equals 1. So yeah. So here we're also going to need to have a break statement. We're going to need to say base speed times equals, or I'll just say equals, it doesn't really matter, equals airspeed, or speed air. Move speed air. There we go. And now I can have the ground type, or when you have ground. Ground type ground. We also need a break statement here. Honestly, I should just make this the default. Whatever. I won't have a default. No, I'll make it the default. There we go. Switch statements are fun. All right, so in the default case, what we're going to do is, first of all, this is where we're going to angle it based off of what direction you have. And now, what we're going to do is, so we know what direction you're going. However, now we need to know if you're going up or down a slope. And how do we do this? Well, we have the angle normal, which is either going to be positive or it's going to be negative. Or that's actually not true. Oh, wait. It'll be either that or it's going to be greater than pi. Okay, same thing. So either our angle of incidence is going to be less than pi or it's going to be way greater than pi. So if it's greater than pi, all we have to do is we have to say, okay, wait, if it's greater than pi, then it's going to basically, oh yeah, that's still fine, because it'll point us downwards. So if our angle is less than pi, so it angled us up by 2, we still have to compare this to our actual direction. Okay, okie dokie. So we're going to say base speed equals base speed ground, or move speed ground. Now what we have to say is, if our movement direction vector if we compare it to the normal vector, if our normal vector is like this, so we're moving this way and ground is this way, so our slope is this way, or our normal vector is this way, this means we are we're going uphill. If vector is this way, so it's either going to be greater than or less than 2 pi, or pi over 2. So if it's less than pi over 2, we're going downhill. If it's greater than pi over 2, we're going uphill. Easy. Oh wait, I also need to multiply it by the angle that it is. Slope speed multiplier. So we're going to make a float slope speed multiplier equals no, it's actually easier than I thought. Yeah, move speed ground, or no, we're going to say base speed equals, or times equals, no, plus equals, sorry. Wait, no. Times equals, and then we're going to have something that, I'm trying to think. My brain is being dumb. And here I actually times it times how much you're holding it. Huh. I'm worried about getting a negative value if I ever subtract a value from something else. So I want to take this, I'm going to multiply it by however strong the slope is. No. I think I should use subtract. So, or I'll always use add. I'm not going to subtract. I'll just say negative. No, I'll say negative minus equals. No, I should say plus because you'll be adding speed if you're going up a slope. Gosh, this is the fun part. So we have our angled vector. I could clamp it. Like what I'm thinking about right now is, here, let me open up Paint. So what I'm thinking about is, if I have a slope like this, or I should start off with flat ground. With flat ground, they should have a speed of base speed. So, base speed. I'm not abbreviating it because YouTube is annoying. I don't think they would like me having that, the abbreviation. So yeah, we have base speed. If we're going up a slope like this, our base speed should actually be higher in order to make our way up the slope. I'll just say greater than base. If we're going down a slope, then it should be less than base. However, if we have a slope that is really steep, we should not be able to climb it. So we can clamp our speed between two values. And also, we should never be moving backwards on a slope. So if we have like a really shallow slope, it should have less effect than this. Our speed should be greater than that. So how do we do this? I think adding speed is the right way to go. No, we need to multiply speed. So maybe when we're going up a hill like this, it'll be like 2 times. It'll be like 2 times base speed. And when we're going down a hill like this, it's like 1 half base speed. But how do we, show that? What's the arithmetic? I don't know. Hmm. So if my angle between them is maybe that's what I'm looking for, a quadratic sequence. Let me look at this. Let me ask an AI. Let's see what ChatGPT can come up with. Um, what is a mathematical expression that would be .5 when x equals 5, or let's say, so when my angle is, let's say negative .5. 1 when yeah. So a quadratic function might be it. Let me just visualize it in Desmos. So if I have, let's say, uh, or just x to the power of 0.5, or to the power of 2. No. Or we can shift it over by a little bit. So let's say plus. Yeah, something like this could work. So when I'm going up a really steep, or when I'm going down a really steep slope, my speed is almost nothing. When I'm on a flat surface, my speed gets multiplied by 1. And when when I'm going up a really steep surface, it'll be by 2 or something. But then I also need to factor in, like, how much should I do it by? Huh. I think no matter how much I change, I think, yeah, I should change this value, the exponent, because that'll change how high this goes. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so now to actually do it. So x in this formula is, well, first of all, something I should change is this. I have an upslope vector speed multiplier and a downslope. I'm going to remove that. We're only going to have slope speed multiplier. All right, so now we need to have an x value. Because I might, all right, so what is my x value going to be? It's going to be, but I need to make it by 1. And that's going to be anywhere from pi to I could just divide that by 2 pi. Okay. All right. If my math is correct, this should work. Come back to quadratics now. What the frick? Yes, math, my favorite video game. You should really not be asking chat. No, I was asking it just for a basic idea of, like, I was either considering exponential functions or things to the power of e, but no. Well, I guess that is an exponential function, e to the power of x. But I'm just trying to visualize something that will start off by dividing, but then will grow to something that multiplies to something greater, which, yeah, quadratic function does make sense, or any polynomial. So this does make sense. But the way it's actually going to work is going to be a little bit complicated. All right, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to get a, let's start off by getting a normalized um, value for us to multiply our equation by. So we're going to go ahead and just make a float normalized value. Float normalized value, or normalized angle, or not necessarily normalized, but clamped. Yeah, clamped value. Clamped angle. Um, and this angle should have a range from -1 to 1. Of course, this, and by that I mean it will basically take in any value from like 3 pi over 4 to pi over 4, and it'll be able to turn that into a value from -1 to 1. Doing that's going to be a little bit difficult, but it shouldn't be impossible. Also, that's the end of the Mario Galaxy soundtrack, so it's time for a Super Mario Galaxy 2 soundtrack. Where is it? You're telling me it didn't come up with the Super Mario Galaxy 2 OST? YouTube thinks it knows me. All right. So first of all, we can start off by doing this. Our clamped angle is going to equal what our angle between, so we're going to do vector math dot angle between, and we're going to be taking the angle between um, our rightward direction, I think. Crap. We don't really want to take that angle. If we're going to the left, in that case, ooh, e. Okay. When we're going to the left, all the math is going to have to be reversed. How do work? Well, let's think about this. If I have something going to the left, in that case, I want its values to be reversed. However, like what I'm trying to find out is, am I going towards the slope or not? So I'm trying to find out if it's an acute value. No, that doesn't even matter. What matters is the distance between this angle and this angle. If this is really small, that means I'm going down a really steep slope. If it's perpendicular, so pi over 2, then it's a flat plane. And if it's obtuse, that means I have a slope that I'm going upwards. However, if I'm like this, I again need to keep calculating this. If it's acute, then I'm going down a plane. If it's 90 degrees, I'm going I'm on a flat plane. And if I'm obtuse, then I'm going down a plane. However, wait, no, I'm going up a plane. If it's perpendicular, yeah, then it's down. If it's acute, then I'm going down. However, the actual angles are going to be, 90 degrees. They're going to be really far around because it's going counterclockwise. So how do I do it? I need a way of figuring out what the angle is from a range of 0 to pi, which is annoying. I can actually clamp it. So if my value is greater than pi, I can just say it's now equal to pi over 2 or whatever. Or I can say if my angle is equal to pi, I can say it's now equal to negative pi. And how can I do this? Well, I can basically say that negative 2, anything greater than pi is actually equal to 2 pi minus itself. So if I have something like 3 pi over 2, now I'll actually be saying, okay, 2 pi minus 3 pi over 2, which is pi over 2, which is flat, which is good because if I'm going left, that means I'm going to want to do this. So yeah, if I had something like an acute angle on this side, that means I'll have a actual angle of, or it'll tell me my angle is like 11 pi over 6. And that obviously isn't the case. So I could convert that into 2 pi minus that, it'll be 1 pi over 6, which is acute. Okay. So angle between my direction vector, so curve direction, and angle of normal. And yes, I want to be using curve direction. Wait, do I? No, I don't. Shoot, I actually need to calculate this before current direction. Don't I? No, I don't. I can use I actually don't want to use current direction because current direction is already angled in the direction of the plane. So yeah, I could just use the angle of normal. What am I doing? Honestly, if I'm going to do that, I might as well just use angle of normal. Nah, I should have a separate variable. So I have angle of normal, which is like, it's either going to be 11 pi or it's going to be 11 pi over 6 or 1 pi over 6. And depending on this value, so yeah, first thing that we're going to do is set it to, if this is greater than pi, we're going to say it's 2 pi. So clamped angle is greater than pi. Now, if it's equal to pi, then 2 pi minus pi is equal to pi. So it doesn't matter. Equals mathf.pi. So yeah, if it's greater than mathf.pi, then what we're going to do is we're going to say, also it shouldn't be clamped angle, this should be normal angle. If the angle of normal is greater than math pi, it's going to be 2 times math pi minus angle of normal. Else it's going to just be angle of normal. Okay, so what this all should have done is now it should give me a value from negative pi to pi. Or 0 to pi, I mean, actually. Wait. Wait, is that right? Wait. If I'm over here, then it'll be like 11 pi over 6. So almost 2 pi. So 2 pi minus that would be a little more than 2 pi. Crap. Or that's going to be almost 0. Crap. Okay, yeah. Before we angle it, we should actually do this math. Let's hold off on that. All right. So before we angle it, we're going to use current direction. So we want to find the current direction So yeah, we want to find how far is the angle from here. So if my angle is really small, then it'll be like 0.1 or whatever, 1 pi over 6. The larger it gets, if it's pi over 2, then it's going to be pi over 2. And then it'll get to a point where it can get up to pi. Or most likely it'll only reach 3 pi over 4, but that's okay. We'll clamp it. So yeah, what we can say is the angle between current direction vector and then we're going to say it's between that and the ground normal. Now, this works if I'm going to the right, because it'll give me my upwards direction. However, if I'm going to the left, now it'll give me a value that is not correct. If I'm going to the left, then it should be... Would the 2 pi minus work here? Or I'm just going to say clamped angle equals clamped angle is greater than pi. If it's greater than pi, then I'm going to say 2 pi and I'm going to say subtract that by clamped angle. Else just clamped angle. All right, so in this scenario, if I'm going to the left and I have something that's 11 pi over 6, 2 pi minus that will give me pi over 6, which is correct. Now, if I have this, it'll be 3 pi over 2, which will be 2 pi minus 3 pi over 2, which is going to be pi over 2. And then if I have an obtuse angle, that'll be something like 5 pi over 4. That'll be translated into 3 pi over 4, which will be correct. All right, so that's correct. So this will give me a range from 0 to pi. Of course, if you're in like a ceiling, then that'll give me a weird value, but that shouldn't be the ground type anyway. That's just a problem in its own right. All right, so yeah, this will give me the value of a value from 0 to pi. So now I need to translate that from a position of 0 to pi to where now a value of 0 is a value of -1, and a value of pi is equal to 1. So I'm having a range of 2. Okay, that should be easy enough. Clamped angle equals 2/3 time, or 2 over pi. Yes, 2 over math pi. Cool. Easy. So now I have 2 over math pi. So this is going to give me a range from 0 to 2. So now I just shift it over by -1. And then I just subtract 1 from this, and bam, now I got it. And now I can finally times this by the angle. Hold on. Do I even have to shift it over? I don't think I do. I think I can literally just say if x, because when it's 1, it's going to be correct. Yeah, when it's 1, it's always going to be 1. And when it's larger, it's always going to be that. See, I don't think I actually have to shift it over. Clamped angle, or math power. Pow, clamped angle. And then I'm going to do it by a power of slope speed multiplier. Bam. Now we have movement. Probably. There's a good chance this will work. Maybe. This is going to be really weird if it does work. But I think what I did is correct. We need to set slope speed multiplier to something like 2. So let's try it. And I do not move. Argument exception. Okay, what the hell is this? What? Tween position. Heart is player 1. If I was to guess, it's because no, I have tweener here. I have a tweener. Huh? Okay, so that's not working. Why it's not working, I do not know. Oh, I see. Yeah, that's an important line to put in here. Right here. I didn't actually ever apply to base speed. Now we should be able to move. Okay, I did save. Weird. Oh. Input velocity is nan. So not a number, not a number. Interesting. Interesting. Hmm. Yeah, that's really interesting. Not a number, not a number. Slight problem. Forgot a part. What? All right, so velocity is not a number, not a number. I assume it's getting mad when I have 0, 0 as my vector. And that would make sense. I assume that's why it's being upset. Yeah, because in vector math, if I ever pass in a vector that is of 0, 0, the angle vector between it, or the angle between 0, 0 and anything else is what? There isn't. There's no vector here. 0, 0 is just me. That should fix the problem. Probably. Yep. Now it's not mad at me. My slope speed modifier is a little bit high. Should not be capturing when there's a hot control. Don't know what that means. Don't know what a hot control is. But yeah, I can turn down the slope speed multiplier by maybe 1.5. Let's see. How does this look? So yeah, now when we go up slopes, still a little janky. Let's just try a slope control of 1. Let's see what it does. Or let's say 1.1. Honestly, yeah. That looks pretty good. So it yelled at me once here. Not sure why. That doesn't look like it's that big of an issue. Cool. So yeah. Next thing up, let's test some messed up gravity. I think that'd be funny. Let's try it. Let's rotate it on the Z by 90. We'll go ahead and set gravity to 1, 0. And now, does it work? Gravity seems to work. I can move up and down. I can jump. I can run up slopes and stuff. I'm sliding down a bunch. Is that normal? Yeah, that's normal. I can still jump on your head. Oh, when I bounce on her head without any duration, without any magnitude. Wait, what? No, it should still hit this and say, oh, nope, fail. Nah, I'm gonna set this to case ground type dot player or ground. I mean, whoops. I just should fix it. There we go. So yeah, now we should have gravity. It should, just work. Oh, I killed my other character. Cool. Let's try some upside down shenanigans as well. You will be going now? Thank you for staying. Have a good day. I'll see you next time. I'll probably have to go pretty soon as well. It's almost dinner. But yeah, as you can see, we can work upside down. Gravity works. Slopes work. Okay, we got to do it at least once. Dang it. You know we gotta do it. We gotta do it. We just have to. It's the rule. The infinite bounce. And of course, we gotta try 270 degrees. All right. -1, 0. We'll move you up here. Cool. I like this theme. It's so simple, but I like it. I mean, I shouldn't say simple, but it's calming. I like it. I think it's unused. I'm not sure though. I should probably reset this back to default. Revert. There we go. Skull. All right, cool. Next step. Let's make the dash. First things first. I'm gonna do a small edit. I'm gonna take the heart. I'm gonna make it visible again. But I'm gonna shrink it down. Shouldn't have a sphere collider actually. Actually, yes, it should. Should it? I don't know. I'm gonna turn it off for now. But yeah, now you can see it actually shoot out the bullet. That's weird. Why do you keep going a little bit? I'm guessing it's linear drag. Yeah, that's probably it. So yeah, when you're dead, state normal and self-destructed. We set dead. We should also set rigid body, player rigid body dot velocity equals 0, or vector 2.0. There we go. You don't think that was such a bad idea? What do you mean? Oh God, no. A bit of a spiritual successor to no. Wait till April Fools for that update. All right. So yeah. Next up, player. Where's my box collider? Where's my collider? What did I call my collider? I guess I don't have one. Private, rigid body, or no, box collider. or square rectangle collider, box collider, 2D, player collider. There we go. Hold on, it might have shown up in YouTube and just not shown up there. No, it did. Okay. So yeah, here, when I'm doing stuff like this, player rigid body. Here, I'll just put player collider equals game object dot get. I do have to consider there might be points where I have a different shaped rigid body or a different shaped collider, but if I do, I can always just update the components or add a new component. So this will be fine for now. Alright, so player collider, we're going to disable that when you die. Player collider dot enabled equals 0 or equals false. Bam. I should also disable this, actually. Player rigid body dot is kinematic. Can I say sleep? No, I didn't want to say shared materials. I want to say sleep. What does this do? Does this just turn it off? Rigid body sleep. So I think sleep should work. That's better than just turning to kinematic or not. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and do this now. So if player state equals, I do need to have a separate player state for this, actually. Oh, I do. Fused. So here, also I can delete all this. Whoopee. That deleted the semicolon. Oh, so here I'm just gonna say fused for now. Something I need to do is I need to now it's finally time to introduce the butler or the waiter. Let's do this. Tween, we're actually going to introduce a new thing in Tween. We're going to add something called a waiter. I guess in order to do that, we also need to introduce the waiting interface or waitable interface. So let's start off by doing that. So over in generic scripts, I'm going to go ahead and make a new script called waitable, or yeah, waitable. Public interface waitable. Should all have a public interface. I can just do this. So public um, void end wait wait key, or what should I have? So every waitable thing has an end wait function that will take in a string key. There we go. And that's the interface. I know this is real crazy, but what I essentially just did there, with this, now I can make this my player controller. Now I can say player controller implements waitable. Oh, I did not like that. Let me see how to actually use this. I haven't done interfaces in C#. How to use an interface in C#. Yep. Void my interface. My class. Okay, so it is literally just this, I think. Nope, doesn't like that. Okay. I have an interface called waitable that I want to use in a class Unity C#. Okay, so it's a comma. Now I need to implement. Yeah, okay. I'm right. Now what I need to do is I need to make an end weight function. Public end weight. Wait, what did I call it? Oh, I guess it's void. End weight. Yep. End weight. String key. If key, or I should have a switch key. Do I have to have the parentheses? Key. Yes, okay. Understood. Case, um, let's say we have heart merged. There we go. So now what we can say is, because we have this heart merged message, what this will do is it will fuse, or we'll set our fused state, state. Where do I have player state? Is it just called player state? What's it called? Yeah, player state. Equals state.merged. Dot fused. And just like that, now anything else can use a waitable object. But in order to do this, now we're going to have to do some more stuff in tween. All right, so tweening object. Ow. Private list of objects. Tween type. So now we're also going to have a private static list of waiting objects. So we're going to have private static list of waiting objects. Let's rename this to tweening objects. Rename tweening objects. Waiting objects. We're going to call this waiting objects. Cool. Now we actually need to make a struct called waiting objects. Waiting objects. So now what we can say is public. So what this is going to have is a public string waiting objects. Or no, public string key. Ah. And private, or no, public, float, or let's actually put the game object in first. So we're going to make a waitable. And then we're going to have, honestly, this key should be after the waitable object. And then we're going to have a public float. And this is going to be time remaining. Bam. So now we have a list of waiting objects. Tweening objects. So here we have start. So yeah, waiting objects equals new list of waiting object. Bam. Fixed update. We're going to say temp object, tweening objects. So yeah, after that, we're going to go ahead and do a. Wait, what? Oh, but this fixed update. All right, so yeah, what we're going to do is for int I equals 0, I is less than waiting objects dot count plus plus I, and what we're going to say is waiting object, temp object. There's a lot of copy and paste from tween. So yeah, we have temp object like this equals waiting objects I, and then what we say is temp object dot time remaining minus equals time dot delta time. Bam. And now what we can say is if time remaining, if temp object dot time remaining is less than or equal to 0, then what we're going to do is we're going to do thing. What thing are we going to do? We're going to send the message and we're going to remove the object. So then we're going to say temp object dot waitable dot end wait, and then we can say in the key we're going to say no, we're just going to pass in key. So temp object dot key, boom. Yeah, end wait, temp object key. So that's going to send a message. After that, we're going to want to say temp object, or we're going to want to wait. Or no, we're going to want to remove the object. So we're going to say waitable objects or waiting objects dot remove, or should I use remove at? Probably remove at. Yeah, remove at I. What am I doing? Oh dang, it's 6:37. I'm gonna have to go pretty soon. Let's finish this up though. Else. So if I remove it, if I don't remove it, that means I'm just going to want to set it equal to itself again. So waiting objects I equals or dot remove. Can I dot remove it? Or what am I saying? Equals waiting object. No, temp object. I do see one major problem with this. That being, if I remove I, that means I will technically be skipping over the next item in the list. So I actually want to do this. I forgot about this. Minus minus I and minus minus I. This way it'll go ahead and backtrack by 1. So if I have free objects, I finish waiting. I wait on I1, then I start on I2, but I finish. Now there's only 2 items, so I is technically less than count because there's only 2. So what I need to do is I need to go ahead and actually set it back to 1, and then it'll get updated to 2, and then it'll work. So this will actually work correctly. It wasn't a problem before because we didn't have many things using waitable. We only had like 2 characters, and they didn't do it at the same time. So this is more effective, more correct. So right here, what we can do is we're going to go over here to self-destructed. When we tween it, we're also going to, oh wait, we have to add in this method as well, which is going to be public static void wait on object, or wait to execute. And we're going to need a waitable object. I'll just call it waitable. Then we're going to need a key. And we need a int or a float time to wait. And now what we can say is waiting object wait. I'll just call it waiting object equals a new waiting object. I probably shouldn't call it waiting object. And whatever. No, I shouldn't. I'll call it new waiting object. And there we go. Object. So now we have our new waiting object. And now we're going to say new waiting object dot waitable equals waitable. Then we're going to say that new waiting object key equals key. I know, this is crazy. And then we're going to say new waiting object dot time remaining equals time to wait. And just like that, now we have a waitable. And the whole reason we had to have that interface is now we're able to use a waitable object. Because remember, if we didn't have that interface, we can't just say, hey object, call waitable or hey script, hey class, call waitable and wait, or call end wait. You can't just say that to a random object. It doesn't know what end wait is. However, every waitable object, because of that interface, will have an end wait function. As such, you're able to say, hey, waitable object, end wait, do this. And that's exactly what this waitable section is doing. It's able to say, hey, temp object, we know you're a waitable object, so end wait now. Doesn't really care what the end wait actually does, but it ends wait, it does it, and what the actual thing that it's waiting on ends, that'll be determined by whatever you send through the controller. So like right here, I'm saying, what I'm going to use it for is I'm going to say tween dot wait to execute, and we're going to choose ourselves. So this, the string is going to be, I don't know, what is my string? I said heart merged. Boom. And how long am I going to wait? Respawn time. Boom. And now, this will set fused correctly. If, let's just say, debug.log fused. Just so we can get some feedback. Make sure it works, you know. I love the skull emoji. I want to see something. Under the mesh renderer, aw, it says skull, but it doesn't have the skull emoji. This is so sad. So yeah, now I can move it around, and once I do that, boom, it's not doing anything. Okay. Interesting. You know, I thought it would be doing something. I thought it would be saying waitable, or I thought it would be saying fused. Okay, so that's a little weird. Well, that's a bug for another day. I'm going to go grab some dinner. The important thing is that we are actually able to now move around and stuff. So, the gravity was a success. Slopes now work, too. I still think they look a little weird, though. Before I go, you know what? Whatever, I'll do one more thing. I want to test out what happens if I have a thing that's less than 1. A slope speed of like 0.5 or something. Doesn't feel that bad. I might actually like that more. Because it feels like you're less slippery going up a slope. It gives you more resistance. But yeah, I think I'm going to end it here. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.